So at this point in my life, I'm very, very focused. I'm on a journey called Confident Confidence. I've been at places where I haven't had the most confidence. I feel like I didn't measure up to whatever the standard was of that industry or that entity I was a part of. But I've gotten to a place now, getting close to 50, and I'm not really interested in measuring up. I'm interested in being the measure that people have to measure up to. Confident confidence is where I'm headed, it's what I am, and it's what I intend to take and share with the world. You can do whatever you want, you can be whoever you want, you can accomplish whatever you want. All you need is confident confidence. This is the journey. Come along.
You won't see it on the 6 o'clock news. It's not waiting in the mail, trust you. I woke up and my whole world changed. You're the kind of love gives me faith. I believe.
Welcome again to another episode of Building Bridges with Tyrus. We're connecting marketplace and ministry. Today, I'm just going to read you a little bit about my guest today. I am so excited, all right? All right, my guest today is a love and success coach, former executive pastor, who specializes in helping everyday, ordinary people find extraordinary love. From embracing your uniqueness to creating balance, Byron helps individuals find and enjoy the love they deserve. Please help me welcome my guest today for this great conversation of how we're going to build bridge, Byron Jamal.
Thank you so much for having me today, Tyrus. Pastor Tyrus, I appreciate this.
Listen, Pastor Byron Jamal, I'm so glad you're here. Listen, I've read, and I've met you on LinkedIn, and such a network that we have even established now. My team has done extensive research just because you are so interesting. You're interesting, your life is interesting, and I believe that you offer something which is so unique. Not only the love and success coaching part, but you, the individual, Pastor Byron Jamal, offers something that the world needs. I know we say it's love, and it's definitely love, but when we're talking about building bridges and connecting dots, I'm gonna stop so you can start, but just that love. So tell us a little bit about your love journey, you know, former executive pastor, and you know what? Let me start by saying this. Tell me your most favorite moment as an executive pastor.
I have to say, well, first, thank you for having me on. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on with you today. It is great to connect with you. And as an executive pastor, I think my favorite moment had to be the moment when I stepped away. It was actually because I had the aha moment that it wasn't the right space for me.
Okay.
And as much as I loved every bit of helping people and being in the pulpit and preaching the word and being a part of facilitating the worship, it was stepping away from me that taught me I could still love God and God could still love me if I wasn't there. And that moment really helped save me from not just being in a cycle of religion and really helped me develop my relationship with God.
But you're still pastoring people.
in a unique way. In a unique way,
and
yes.
success, coach.
Yes.
What is pastoring other than leadership and coaching?
I say it all the time, my brother. I do. I say it all the time that really a love coach is nothing but a pastor, because what is a pastor? It's really someone who's supposed to do what I do, which is the 3 pillars, helping connect people upwardly to God, inwardly to the self-love that they should have, and outwardly to the love that they should have with others. So really that's what a pastor should do. It's what I teach on a daily basis, the 3 pillars of love, and that's the foundation of my teaching.
Yeah, it was the foundation of your teaching, and it's your foundation.
Yes.
I mean, you got your MDiv. You kind of know the word a little, you know, a little something.
A little something.
You've got the Bible. You understand the people of God. You understand the heart of God, and you really, in you turning people in towards love and towards themselves.
Yes.
I see that your consistent themes that you turn them towards the love of God.
Yes.
And then the love within themselves.
Yes.
So when you're talking about, stepping away, you didn't really step away. It's just like you just started pastoring in another direction.
Well, I stepped on the church property, but I stepped outside the four walls. And I think that's the difference.
Got it.
If there was ever an analogy, I guess it would be the parking lot preacher. It would still be someone who is still preaching, but not in the actual confinement of the church.
Parking lot preacher with a whole lot of Bible
With a whole lot
and
of Bible.
substance.
Hello.
That's something to say. I think that is so intriguing to me. And of course, you can know, as a staff pastor myself,
Yes.
having been a senior pastor for 10 years, and then going to be on staff at another ministry, serving a church that you could fit my old church into.
One or two times.
Right. So, being that. So I was like, oh man, a former pastor.
Yes.
Let me see what's up. Let me see what's the connection. Because the truth of the matter is, Pastor, once we accept that ministry and accept that call, we never really get to run away from it.
It's on you. When I do lives now, I don't really talk about religion as deeply or as overtly as a pastor would. But when I'm on, people are like, well, you were preaching.
All day.
They
All
will
day.
say you were preaching.
I watched something the other day you were talking about, and I'm like, really?
They
Really?
were like, are you about to tune up?
Yes. Especially because that's your foundation.
Yes.
You know who God is. You know how God can heal,
Yes.
which is the essence of your whole message.
Yes.
That God can heal, that God can turn, God can shift. I know you're calling it love, because that's what it is. It's love, but it's really the power of God, the ability of the power of God to heal us from the inside, from what could kill us on the inside.
Absolutely. Well, I really foundationally believe what 1 John talks about as God is love. And when you remember that God is love, then that means anything that love creates is love. I have this story when I was growing up. My art teacher instructed us to make something for our parents out of clay. And so while all the kids were making pots and making vases and different things, I decided I want to be real creative because my dad, Jamaican man, would work really hard. He would come home and he would be tired and he would watch TV. He would just fall asleep in the chair. So I wanted to create a bear, because I liked Berenstein Bears at the time, bear in a chair watching TV. That was my idea. Now, the problem was I'm not that creative when it comes to clay. I really don't know what to do with that. So I should have really stuck to the vases and things. But at the end of the day, I was frustrated because when the teacher said time up, all I had was a mash of clay that kind of looked like a dog in a beanbag because the chair didn't have legs and I didn't even have time for the TV. So she told us, it's okay, tomorrow you'll be able to come and paint it. Once it hardens, you'll be able to paint it. We'll put it in the heat and we'll work it out from there. So I went home and I was frustrated, but I was like, tomorrow I'm gonna come back with something amazing. So I came back with this creation of colors that I was gonna mix together. And mind you should not mix more than 3 colors together because it will not turn out well. I learned that lesson at the end of that when I got the bear back after I had painted it and it changed color in the heat. And I had to take this thing home that didn't look like what I thought. Wasn't the color I imagined. And I'm handing it to my parents and I'm crying because I'm like, this is not what I thought I was going to give to you. And my father took it and my mother came around me and my dad put it on the mantle where we put things of distinction and honor, trophies and awards. And I didn't realize it then what they were doing or signifying, but I realized it later that they didn't like the creation so much. It didn't look good, let's be honest, but they loved who made it.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, if you can fall in love with who made you,
that's good.
You can fall in love with who made you. You know that they made you with love. Even though it didn't come out the way you expected, even though it didn't come out the right shape, the right color, the right form, with the right way of speech, it doesn't matter because you were made by somebody who loved you. And the gift of life is the giving of something that doesn't have to look how you want it, because truly, when you realize that, you will find great joy in life that doesn't have to be the way you want it, just has to be the way it was designed.
And you're teaching people to wrap themselves in love.
Yes.
And more importantly, self-love.
Self-love.
Because that is a major theme of yours, not just love, but self-love. Talk to us a little bit about that, because that has been a very serious topic for you. It's a very serious subject for you. I can tell it's dear to your heart by it's all over everything, over your website, over your writing, over your books, over your conversations, over your lives, and you talk about that self-love. Talk to us a little bit about your self-love and how we can even obtain self-love.
Absolutely. Well, the reason why self-love is an important topic for me is as a child, I was adopted. And so I didn't really have the biological lineage to really cling on to. A lot of people find identity in their biology. And I didn't have that. I didn't have my heritage link that to really glean on, you know. So if, let's say I came from a wealthy family, I could find pride in the wealth of my family or the prestige of my family. I had none of that. So it was a blank slate. And my parents were also adopted. So we were people who were separated. We were all nomads in that sense. So in my middle school years, I attempted suicide. And it was because I really felt lost and isolated. I didn't know myself. I didn't have many friends. I was really a recluse in many regards. And I didn't have a good sense of me. And as I came out of that, going into ministry, finding more of myself, discovering my own voice and my own story, I said, this thing, it doesn't matter if you have good parents, doesn't matter if you have a good partner, doesn't matter if you have a good job or a lot of money. What matters is that you love yourself. Your love story, the greatest love story of your life is the one you have with yourself. Because it's the longest one you will ever have.
That love won't end.
It won't end. It's the only one that will be with you all your life. And so it has to be the most important story, the one you want to get just right. If nothing else, you want to get that one right.
Doesn't matter anybody else's story.
It doesn't.
Anybody matter anybody else's
I love my mama, but she will go. I will go. Look, the truth, everybody I know will eventually go. But I will remain as long as I'm here. I got to love myself.
Yeah, not only that, you also wrote, and I enjoyed this, when you're talking about you being an author, you said, I will write until I have nothing to say. What a powerful statement. What that says to me is you're not going to allow fear, circumstance, or anything to mute your voice. What would you say? Now, our audience is definitely very wide today, right? Very wide audience watching us. Baby boomers, Gen Xers. I think the silent generation might be a little silent right now.
Just a little
silent. The millennials and the next generation, my grandchildren's generation, you know. What would you say to them? Where can they gain the courage not only to love themselves, but to write until they have nothing more to say?
My goodness. Stepping out into the unknown, stepping out into what you are uncomfortable with, reminds me of actually my book on self-love, The 7 Steps to Ultimate Self-Love, where I actually talk about the first step being that God stepped into a void world.
Yes.
There was nothing.
Yes.
There was absolutely nothing. And in that moment, the first step is acceptance. God did not murmur. God did not complain. God had no situation where he was saying, what is wrong with all this darkness going on? There was a moment where God paused and God accepted the darkness. In order to really step out into the greatness of your life, you've got to be able to accept the darkness of your life, the insecurity of your life, the fear in your life. That which is lacking, you have to be willing to fully embrace and be okay with without having any shame, without having anything that would make you feel bad about it. You have to accept it. And when you accept it, then you can begin to speak, let there be. But you can never speak, let there be, until you accept what is. And that is how I gained my confidence to start writing. Before I could write a word, let there be, I had to accept what wasn't, what was missing in me, what was lacking in me, what was absent in me, what was I longing for, what was I hoping for that wasn't in my life. And the pretty robe did not do it, and the fancy title didn't do it. What did it was sitting with myself, praying and meditating and allowing myself to know myself and be okay with myself and the darkness of myself. We love to talk about light in religion. We love to talk about light. But there is no light without really understanding the darkness.
Well, we're going to park there for a second. Because really, there's a fear-faith conversation that I feel coming towards us. Listen, we're going to go to a quick commercial. And right after this commercial, we're going to come back and we're going to continue our conversation with Pastor Byron Jamal. We're going to talk some more about that faith, self-love, and we're going to figure out how to build a bridge between faith and self-love.
Yes.
6 o'clock news.
I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who contributes to Hinton Cares Foundation. Your donations make it possible to do what we do. We feed so many families that are here that are having a very challenging time, but they can come to a nice, warm Sunday dinner. And you, because of your generosity, that happened for so many great people here at Ronald McDonald House in Durham, North Carolina. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Sunrise lights up another day.
Listen, welcome back. We are here with my guest. We're continuing the conversation with Pastor Byron Jamal. I mean, wow, wow, wow. This young man is loaded. He's gifted. He's full of the word. He's full of information. He's full of love. And we're going to talk about something, because we were talking about love just before we went to break. And we were talking about that self-confidence.
Yes.
The Bible does say this, Pastor, and you know the word, that perfect love drives out all fear.
Yes.
Right? Considering what you're telling me about the self-love, considering telling us how to get there in those 7 steps to ultimate self-love,
Yes.
what part does fear play with us trying to get to that place of self-love?
Absolutely. Well, a lot of self-love has to do with faith. And the reason why it has to do a lot with faith is because in order to love yourself, you have to believe that you are worthy of that love. And that is not something that you just get. Now, you can get it through arrogance. That's one way to get it, right? But that would be a false way. But a higher way is to say that there is something that created me in love, with love, through love, fashioned in love. And so I should love myself based on the faith of something I can't see.
Wow.
I have to love myself based on that. And it has to be childlike. And that's why he said the kingdom of God is inherited to children, because it has to be childlike in the sense that a child does not look in the mirror and does not see imperfection. They just see that I am created.
Right.
And I was created in the image of Mom, Dad, and this is enough. And that childlike faith is all it takes in order to gain that level of confidence, to then go back to what we were saying earlier, to go and do and be and become. So faith is wrapped up in your understanding that I don't have to do anything else but be.
But be.
But be.
Wow.
It is that simple. What does a child do when they try to walk for the first time? They're not concerned about falling. They are concerned about being
That's
up
good.
and upward
That's
and upright. They're just concerned about the next state of being. So if faith is simply being able to be focused on your next step, your next move, and even if you fall, you're not focused on the falling. So that's where fear comes in. Not focused on the fear of falling, you're focused on the faith of moving forward.
So we're not going to concentrate on the fear of being hurt or the possibility of being hurt.
No.
We're going to focus on the faith of being loved.
This is the work I do when I'm talking to people when they're single and trying to get into a new relationship after heartbreak. We're gonna have to do the work of you cannot enter a new thing afraid of a new thing. You cannot step into a new relationship afraid of a new relationship. You can't be speaking that relationships will fail if you want a new relationship. You are immediately speaking out into the world, into the universe. I say your words are like servants that go and do the work that you ask them to do. So when you say that it can't be, guess what your servants of your word will do? They'll make sure it doesn't. And so you have to be able to walk and think and move in the same step, alignment. Alignment. You have to have alignment. From here to here, from your thought to your word to your actions have to be aligned. And when that happens, then you operate in one way that allows you to move with purpose.
Man, that's so loaded. That is so loaded. You say it like it's just a breeze, but that is just so loaded, because the thought of any type of alignment when you're thinking of love, that in itself can be terrifying.
It can be, but what is the other option? If your car's not aligned, what is the option to it not being aligned? Sure, you can go around with it not being aligned, but how many things get destroyed on the way? How many things also are impaired because you didn't get it aligned? How many things get worn down faster? So you're wondering why you're stressed out. You're wondering why you're depressed. You're wondering why you have more anxiety. It's because you don't have the alignment. See, the simple alignment is God is, I am, it will be. And that's easy enough. If you can think that way, that God is, I am, it will be. It's that simple, because if you took you out, it would still be. And that is the part, that you are a non-factor in the equation.
Wow.
God will still do it even if you are removed. God can use a donkey, right? So we know that God doesn't need us to do it. God can do it without us, but God chooses to use us as a vessel. And if you open yourself up, that childlike faith, to simply be the willing vessel, all you have to do is be open.
Wow, and it's almost safe to say, Pastor, that he that have begun a good work in us, that work of love,
Yes.
that work of love,
See it to the end.
he's able to perform it,
Yes.
to see it through. See, now you sat here and you done preached this last, half hour, and you talking about you ain't no senior pastor no more and all that. Man, listen, you are preaching right now to everybody who's watching us. This man is preaching. I almost said, watch your tone at one point, because I heard the voice.
I learned how to regulate. I say that for the lives that I do with my people that watch me online.
You are preaching. There's so you had an understanding. You were aware of what the show was about, right?
Yes.
Connecting marketplace and ministry.
Absolutely.
You made a statement which grabbed my attention. Out of everything, the producers shared with me, that part, you said it takes love to connect marketplace and ministry.
Absolutely.
I honestly, I want you to unpack that. That's you said love is the only true bridge.
It's the only true bridge.
To connect
Yes.
marketplace and ministry.
Yes.
Give that to me. That's
So you have a book, I have a book, but let's not use our book. So let's use this. Okay. If I want to sell this, when somebody wants to buy this, they have 20 other variations of this they could buy from anybody, right? But there has to be something that connects that person to this item. And what is the connector is the love that you put into it. So there's a scripture in Revelations that say we overcome by the blood of the Lamb, right? And the word of our testimony. So I liken the blood of the Lamb as to sacrifice, because in order for there to be shedding of blood, there has to be some sacrifice, right? So the sacrifice is the work that you put into it. Now, the testimony is the story. So you got sacrifice and you got story. If those two things aren't in the product and the explanation of the product, then it will not convey to the person who is buying it that your love is in it. Because there is no love without sacrifice and a story, right?
Good.
So that is why you have to be able to connect your sacrifice. How did this get created? What did you have to do? What did you have to overcome to create this thing? And then tell the story of why you had to put it out, why you need people to get this, why this is important in their lives. It is the sacrifice, yours, and the story connecting. That's all love. Because that is what love does. Love gives of itself.
That's good.
And love tells the story of how it gave, because that's how you know it's love. Love without a story is not love.
It's good.
Love without a story is not love. That's why you instantly say love story, because love without a story, without a journey, because a journey is really a story, right? So love without a path to live out love, to exercise love, to show love, because that's all really walking love out is just a display of love. So that's the story. That's the storyline. So that's why you have to have both sacrifice and the story.
Well, I think we're both professionals and familiar with the marketplace. We're also familiar with ministry.
Yes,
we're familiar with how brutal both worlds can be.
Can be.
Both worlds can be extremely brutal. And you're saying that love is the only true bridge, correct?
Yes.
But what happens when we get over the bridge from ministry to marketplace to ministry, but we're struggling because we don't feel the love that we know is really sustaining this relationship?
Well, what is the absence of love? It is faulty expectations. When do you feel discomfort? You only feel discomfort when one of your expectations has been broken. Think of this. When you want a healthy body, when your body is not healthy, you are then frustrated. But when your body is healthy, you're happy. When your mind is at peace, you're happy, but when something comes to disturb your mind, you're not happy. So fundamentally what you want, ultimately what you want, what at the core is what you're saying when you say I want to be loved and feel love in business, is I want things to go the way that I want.
Wow.
And this is the great deception of mankind or humankind, because you will never have anything the way you want. You will never have any. So you will always end up frustrated. It will always be difficult. Now, what if you approached it slightly differently and you said, instead of it needing to be this way, and this is how I approach my business and my PR team, Tops PR can tell you about it. When we go into things, we have a loose plan, but I don't have a firm plan. Now, I simply say, I would love to try this. I would love to see how this goes. I would love to attempt this. Let's put this out there and see what happens.
Okay.
Because for me, while we do the planning and while we do the research and while we do all of those things, if it doesn't turn out with A or B or C, it could be that God's D is better than my A.
Ooh.
And so the expectation that I did not put now keeps me from having the frustration I never needed.
Wow. And it helps you to stay connected.
And stay connected and aligned, because you get off of alignment when you're like, this didn't go the way I wanted. So what if the path, and I like using path, my business is actually called the call path, because I believe everybody has a calling. That calling is lived out on a unique path. So what if, just like a natural path, it's already there before you, right? So you're created, just like Adam and Eve, garden already created. Garden already created. It's already there. It's already established. All you have to do is live in it.
All you have to do.
All you have to do is live in it. So what if, so you don't get to define what the path looks like. You don't get to determine how the path is shaped, what's on the path. You literally get to walk it. And your experience is what happens as you navigate the path. So you discover a path, you navigate the path, and then you ultimately achieve on it. And achievement is simply the fulfillment of whatever you think you needed on the path that was given to you. And so that's your DNA, your discovery, navigation, and achievement is a cycle of things. This moment is a DNA cycle. The discovery of one another, the navigation and talking, and the achievement of figuring out what is to be gained from this moment, right? We go through this all the time. We have these cycles. The disconnect is the navigation to achievement, right? Because you're always discovering things. You're always navigating things, handling things, dealing with things, making decisions. But it's where your mind goes, did I achieve or did I not? I like to think and believe that I achieved as long as I did. I achieved as long as I did.
Good.
And that is that childlike faith. Because even though the child falls and falls and falls, it's a lesson, it's a lesson, it's a lesson, it's achievement, it's achievement, it's achievement.
It's love.
It's love.
Love.
It's love.
Love.
Yes.
Pastor, this has been an amazing time. Wow. I don't even think we had enough time for the conversations that we will probably continue on and on and on. But listen, please, his information is at the bottom of the screen. Connect with Pastor Byron Jamal. Make sure you get his last resource, 7 Steps to Ultimate Love. You want to grab it. And until next time, continue working on building that bridge, connecting marketplace and ministry. Be blessed.